Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing great today. Okay, so I have a very urgent information that I want to pass across, and I am pleading with you, please, when you see this video, treat it as extremely urgent and please share it as widely as you possibly can. I mean, as a matter of fact, this is supposed to be a follow-up to a video that I had done before, which of course I am going to ask you to make sure that you watch that video. But I'll try myself to repeat some of the things I've already said in that video, right? Now, so this is about the escalation that I am watching right now, that I'm looking at unfolding in eastern part of Europe. Remember, I've told us from day one that what this whole thing is about is World War III. I never minced words. I kept telling you this. No matter what games they play for you on social media, on mainstream media, whatever they're telling you, my point is this is World War III, and they all know about it, and they are all preparing for it. There is nothing that has happened so far that happened by accident. Everything was planned. Everything was premeditated. Everything was carefully orchestrated to give us the result that we are seeing today on the eastern flank of Europe. Everything was planned to produce the war that you see happening in Ukraine right now. And I've been saying this to us, and that's why I think a lot of you actually have to follow me on Twitter. I share so much more on Twitter than I could ever share on YouTube. So you need to follow me on Twitter, because even because of what is coming my way right now, I may not be as frequent as I've always been. That's another reason why you need to follow me on Twitter. But let me go ahead and share with you what I have for you today. Now, recently, many of you are witnesses to the fact that Joe Biden, the American president, and the US Congress discussed, and the Congress approved a whopping $13.6 billion in military and other aid to Ukraine, a country in Eastern Europe that is neither a member of NATO nor a member of the European Union bloc. And America is spending all this money as Americans are crying and screaming that the economy is crashing on their heads. And this amount of money had to be spent on Ukraine. And the United States of America comes out and they tell you, no, we don't want to fight with Russia. Have you noticed, can you count how many times Biden had been in front of the television to say, we don't want to fight with Russia in Ukraine. We don't want to have that open confrontation with Russia. We are only there in case Russia decides to move further west. Further west means if Russia decides to attack any one of those member states of NATO, Poland, Romania, Hungary, Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, all these people, in case he decides to touch any one of them, then because of the Article 6 of NATO, we are going to fight with them against Russia. So he said this is the only ground on which we are going to fight with Russia. But what if there is a provocation coming from them, from a NATO member state or from the United States in that place? How would you know after they have already yanked off everything that has to do with an opposing view to this whole thing? Russia today is yanked off from every single satellite feed around the world. And YouTube has yanked off Russia today as well, globally. Remember that I told you when I first made the video that I told you, in which I told you what was coming. I told you in that first video that what will happen, that when it begins to happen, that you are not going to hear Russia's own side of the story. You will only hear the globalist side because they control the mainstream media. It's only what they tell you you are going to have to take. Nobody will give you a balanced view. Is that not what is happening right now? Is that not what is happening right now? Now, let me explain to you what has happened so far. If you have watched the previous video that I was talking about, I talked about how that they came up with this whole issue of Ukraine crying out every day that Russia has already taken over the entire airspace of Ukraine. And this is why they are beating Ukrainian soldiers to it. This is why the Ukrainian soldiers are losing territories every day to Russia. So Zelensky is crying, his deputy is crying, everybody is screaming, come and impose no-fly zone over Ukraine. And then NATO and its allies went and had a meeting And when they finish with the meeting, they say, no, this thing is very dangerous. So I was even shocked, and I said it in one of my videos, I was even shocked that they even thought of going to have a meeting over that. How can you have a meeting over imposing a no-fly zone over Ukraine? Over Ukraine, which means that if they impose the no-fly zone, any Russian fighter jet that comes into that airspace, NATO and their allies will shoot the fighter jet down. So that's a direct open confrontation. You're telling Russia, okay, now we're no longer fighting you by proxy. We now want to do direct warfare. You see what is happening? So they finally went and had a meeting and said, no, this one is not possible. And they told Zelensky. Zelensky was angry. You guys, what are you waiting for? You wait for everything to destroy before you come and impose no-fly zone. Up to today, Ukraine is still crying for no-fly zone. Then all of a sudden, they change their tone. They say, okay, we don't want no-fly zone again. If it's not possible for you guys to do, maybe you need to give us fighter jets. We need to begin to conquer Russia by air. Remember, they showed us a satellite image of Russian tanks that were up to 60 kilometers long, right? And for all this time that they had those convoy there, they said that the convoy stalled. Nobody had been able to bomb any tank in that convoy. They say, give us fighter jets. Let us have this, let us have that, because the ones they already have on ground, Russia targeted all of them and destroyed every single one. Remember, when Russia went into Ukraine, they said, we are going there to go and demilitarize Ukraine. We want to go and denazify Ukraine. We want to destroy their military capabilities. And that's what Russia has been doing. Their fighter jets, their tanks, their every single thing, the RPGs, Russia is targeting and destroying all of them. And that's what they are doing now. They say, we don't have any jets anymore to go and fight Russia. Give us jets. But then, you know what it looks like? Giving them jets is also as dangerous as going to impose a no-fly zone. Because when you give your jets to them to go and bomb Russia, Russia is going to believe that, okay, so you are coming into confrontation with us. Look at your own jet to come and fight us. It's not enough that you guys already have your mercenaries fighting against us. You now want to give jets. You are giving weapons already. We kept quiet. You have mercenaries. We kept quiet. Now you want to give jets to come and target us. Then once you do that, we are going to come after you. Russia actually had a warning sent across to NATO and the EU and America that anybody who does that they must know that by doing this, that they are coming into direct confrontation with Russia. They said it. I published it on Twitter. I think a time is going to come when I'm going to have to make a video of all the things I've published on Twitter on this matter. I published it on Twitter. So what happened was then, the plan was that Poland has the kind of fighter jets that the Ukrainian pilots can fly. They are not trained to fly American fighter jets. They are only trained to fly the kind of fighter jets that you have in Poland, which are, I believe, Russian-made. So what America now did was America now brought out one very cunning idea. They say, Poland, why don't you take all those your fighter jets that they are able to fly in Ukraine, give it to them, and then we can replace for you with our own superior fighter jets. So more like a trade by barter. You give them your own that they can use, and we'll give you our own. The same number you transfer to them, we give you the same number. And Poland accepted to do that. So but when Russia now gave that warning out that anybody who does this, you are coming into a direct confrontation with Russia and we will not take it lightly. Poland now, I guess they developed a cold feet and they now call to America and say, we are going to do this, so but this is how I want us to do it. We're going to take these, our jets that we're supposed to transfer to Ukraine, and give it to you guys at your army base, military base in Germany. So from there, you Americans can now transfer directly to Ukraine. That they want NATO, all the NATO members to be involved in the transfer. So it won't be Poland alone doing this. Can you imagine that? Americans now went to the media. Oh, no, we just got an offer from Poland that we need to go and transfer jets to Ukraine. And we just told Poland we don't want to do that. America does not want to go to war with Russia. They didn't tell anybody how that they were the ones who made the offer to Poland. You see the PR game. So they use that opportunity to tell everybody that we are not going to, so that the American masses will relax. But nobody is talking about the provocation that is taking place that the mainstream media will never show you. And I'm going to explain it to you now. So here's what's going on. After that, they noticed again, Russians noticed again, that all these weapons that they are promising and sending, even when they send weapons into Ukraine, they will put it in the media that Ukraine has just taken delivery of this, which is incredibly provocative. That is enough for someone to even come and engage you in war and say, look, you are sending weapons, telling me you're sending to fight me, so you and I are the ones fighting, and isn't it? I always talk about this adage that we have in Igbo land about a bird who says, my problem is not with the person who shot at me, it's the one who gave the order that they should shoot at me. That's who I have an issue with. And this is what is going on right now. The Americans, the NATO guys, the EU guys are giving the order for Russia to be shot. And they are giving the weapons for it. They're sending men, weapons and men and everything. And now they want to take it to another level, which is the flight, right? The fighter jets. Now, when Russia noticed that they are still moving those weapons to Ukraine, Russia now gave another second warning and said, anybody who moves weapons again, they see that they are moving weapons from all these neighboring states to Ukraine, that the convoy that is moving that weapon is going to be looked as a target for Russian bombardment. They said it clear. If they notice any convoy moving weapons again from any one of these places going to Ukraine, we are going to target them from air. Guess what happened? Just yesterday, less than 24 hours ago, there was an issue very close to the Poland border with Ukraine. And a military base there that is suspected to be a place from where they were moving weapons to Ukraine just came under Russian bombardment. And go to mainstream news media and hear what they are reporting. They say this is the closest that Russia has ever come to the West. Remember Biden's code for his psychological warfare. He said, unless Russia goes further west, America will not engage Russia in any combat. We don't want to have anything to do with Russia in Ukraine. Then you have mercenaries that are fighting Russia in Ukraine. You have American soldiers to tens of thousands of them. In Poland, the border between Ukraine and Poland, if you see the number of American soldiers there, if you see how combat ready they are, you will think that the war started already between America, NATO, and Russia. If you see, look, I saw with my own eyes, I'm not making this up. And then you go to the other country, you saw one of the videos I showed you guys where the Romanian foreign minister was showcasing French soldiers that just arrived in Romania. Do you understand? These guys, they're pouring in, and these are people who share the same border with Ukraine and with Russia. And this was all not supposed to happen, but they have happened already. American destroyer, one of the most dangerous warships in the American history, has already moved and is in the Baltic Sea right now as we speak, and it's not only one. And NATO already has more than 100 of those warships. They have more than 100 of the fighter jets. And they say, oh no, we don't want to go into open confrontation with Russia. What are you amassing all these weapons for if it is not for open confrontation? And now that Russian media has been pulled from every single platform on earth, tell me how you will know when Russia has been provoked. The same way they told you that Russia entered Ukraine unprovoked, that the man just woke up one day and he just had a dream and felt, get me the soldiers, let's go into Ukraine. And he just went in there. And you believed it. That's how they're going to tell you that, can you see? Biden is going to look at Americans. You see, American public, I told you guys, I never wanted to fight this guy. I told you I'm not going to fight him unless he touches our NATO allies. You know, we are bound by this Article 6. If you touch one member state of NATO, the Americans are going to come around and fight with NATO against that enemy. So that's what is happening now. NATO, you can see, as you can see right now, Russia has gone to bomb Poland unprovoked. What? Mark my words. Make sure you save this video. They will say unprovoked, that Russia just got up one day, boom, and just went and bombed Poland. So you see, Russia is looking for trouble, and we're not going to let this happen because he's just a bully, and he thinks he can bully even NATO after what they have done to Ukraine. And you know they have literally taken over almost every city in Ukraine, every town in Ukraine. They even replaced a mayor in the city of Melitopol, and now they've surrounded Mariupol, and they have already surrounded Kiev, which is the capital, and they've been in Kiev for the past how many days? Kiev has almost technically fallen to them. And after the fall of Kiev, when it is confirmed officially, the next phase is going to be the trigger. It's going to be the whole provocation that will come from Poland. In the previous video that I asked you to watch, I made it clear that Poland is where I am looking at the trigger coming from. That if he misses Poland, it's going to be Romania. But I know it is going to be Poland. And I think Poland also knows this. And this is why I said to my people, you don't have to run to Poland and stay there. Continue in your onward journey. Way past Europe if possible. Go beyond. And that's why I gave instructions. I said this is an urgent message I want to pass across. Many of you will laugh at it like you laugh at some of the things I said to people, like that tweet. I keep making reference to it. I make reference to it because I gave that tweet 2 times. Even this one I'm telling you now, I've made a tweet about it already. The same people I'm sure must have gone there to go and say, this man is an alarmist. This man is this man. I've told you, if you are in Europe and you are in America, don't wait for anybody to tell you that a nuclear warfare is about to break out. Because NATO and America facing Russia, we don't even know who is going to fight with Russia. We are not sure whether China is coming to fight with them yet or not. But this is a war that Europeans themselves, Prime Minister Boris Johnson, have told you that this is going to be a very long war. Many of you in your brain are already thinking that the war is going to end tomorrow or next. Forget about the peace talks. The war is not ending anything. They planned it to be a world war, and that's what's about to happen. The moment they want to overwhelm Russia, Russia will do what? Russia will make use of the nuclear warheads. And go ask anyone you know in the world. Russia has the finest, the deadliest nuclear weapons in the world. And he has already told his guys to put them on standby. So, what is your fate if you are in Europe and you are in America? Russia has missiles that can reach any state in the United States of America. Not to talk of Europe that is next door to him. What are you doing? That's why I gave you guys instructions. Let me read it out again for the second time. Only God knows I may never have to say this again, ever. But I'm telling you right now, number one, if you're in Europe, if you're in America, first of all, look for the bomb shelter in your city. Look for it. It takes nothing. If you can't go physically, go online. Check bomb shelters in Marriott, bomb shelter in this one, bomb shelter in Margarita, bomb shelter, whatever your city name is, type it out and look for bomb shelters. I'm pretty sure you're going to see a map that comes up and shows you where the bomb shelters are located. You're not Africa. You're not living in Africa where we don't have bomb shelters. You live in Europe, you live in America. They are supposed to have bomb shelters scattered everywhere because of war. Locate those bomb shelters. Find out the people who work there. Make friends with them. Collect their phone numbers. Check the distance between where you are and where those bomb shelters are. And make sure that one leg is in at your job and your home and the other leg is at the bomb shelter. Just in case you hear anything, brother, you take off and you run into that place. And the next thing that follows it is you must stockpile food. Stock up on so many foods that you know they cannot spoil over a long period of time. Use bottles, jars, all those bottle jars. Store these things, grains and all kinds of stuff. Maybe olives, things that will not spoil after several weeks. Take them, pack them and keep them somewhere. Things that are very handy that if anything happens and there's emergency, boom, you scoop your stuff with your children or your family members or friend, you go straight to the bomb shelter. You'll be among the first to get there. Because sometimes when bomb shelters are filled up, they can take more people. That's why you need to know where they are located in your city today. The other one that I give as an option as well is people who know that they can travel. If you think you can afford to travel, please make a trip out of Europe as a whole, or go to an isolated state or country somewhere. I don't know where that may be, that you know they are not involved in all this thing going on. Go over to that place and stay. or you move to Africa or South America. We're not saying that Africa is completely shielded from all the nonsense, because this is a global war. Because look at even the dream that I had the other time that scared me to death. And that's why we've been praying for God's shield over Africa. So we're not really saying that Africa is all, taken away from the whole plan. But what we're saying is that from whatever I am looking at right now, Africa is still a billion times safer than where you guys are. You are staring death in the face if you're living in America and Europe, and the media is not helping you to see it. That's why I'm telling you what I'm telling you right now. South America, Africa, you take that trip, you go there and go and stay there for some time. If you can afford it. I know my African people, the next minute they say, Joseph, I should carry all my children and start running away and go to Africa. I've given you options, but I know this is the one you are going to focus on. If you can afford it, do it. It will be worth it. I'm telling you right now. The next other instruction, which is number 4, is if you are living in the heart of the city, take off and move possibly 2, 3, 4 hours away from the city. Don't be in the, for instance, let me give you an example, London, the city of London. If you're in London and you have some extra cash and think you can function very well from another place about 2, 3, 4 hours, make that move as soon as you watch this video I'm showing you right now. Get away from the main cities, because when attacks come, it is the main cities they hit the most. That's where the destruction happens the most. That's why in some parts of Ukraine today, there are people who are still living, despite all the destruction and war. They are living because they are in the village areas. Nobody is fighting to that point. These are very important instructions. You must not take them for granted. You see, I've told you guys, I don't know what is pushing me to do the things that I do. I really don't have to do this, but I guess God just wants me to keep waking you guys up. When I do these things, people don't pay attention. Sometimes it's enough to make you say, you know what, I don't want to do it anymore. But God keeps telling me, tell them, so that whatever happens, your blood is not going to be on my head. It will be on your head. You have to join me to spread this message. Pass it across. Sit down, watch it with your family members. Watch this video with people, as a group of people. Tell them that I said I have seen the signs that these guys are about to trigger the next phase of this whole problem. It's going to be an escalation that is unprecedented, that you've never seen, you never even imagined it in your life. And I'm thinking, that's my own personal opinion, this is likely to come from the Polish area, Poland, or Romania. When that trigger happens, nobody, let me repeat it, nobody in the media will tell you that there is a provocation. You will just say that, look at Russia with their stupid bombing and destruction of Ukraine. Now that they have done destroying Ukraine, now that they have taken over Kiev, nothing is left in Ukraine, they have now turned on Poland. If we allow Russia, when they finish with Poland too, they will turn on another one. So we have to stop Russia. That's the language you're going to hear. Mark my word, save this video. And I'm telling you right now, when that happens, nuclear war has broken out. And where is it all going to lead us? Mass depopulation, and then a massive global reset. You see, we are living in a very diabolical time in human history. It's a very dangerous time to be alive. But at the end of the day, I still thank God, because there's a reason why He allowed us to be here till now. There's a reason why He allowed you and I to be here up until this moment. It's not for us to be afraid. It's not for us to have fears. I have plans, I have business, I have things I'm doing. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep working. Whatever happens, let it happen. If it comes and it means that I have to stop, I stop. So don't be afraid. Only be on guard. Be on standby. Don't let anything take you unawares. We are the sons and daughters of Issachar who understand the times. We cannot be like the foolish ones who do not know anything about the times. Be the one giving answers, not the one asking questions up and down. Read your Bible and hear and see what God has told us about these times. If we were reading the Bible often, we wouldn't be surprised by all these things happening today. So I'm begging you today, please make these moves. There are many moves, 4 options I gave. If one doesn't work for you, the other should be able to work for you. If you're not interested in traveling, you can go look for bomb. Just do something. I gave you this option so that you can do something. I don't want anyone to be lost. I don't want to lose you guys. Whether you love me, you hate me, I don't want to lose you guys. Be alive so you can fulfill destiny. I just want to thwart the plans of the enemy. I hate the devil that much. That's why I don't want to lose you, because if I lose you guys, it means that the devil has won. And I want him to lose, because this whole thing is all part of his agenda to mass depopulate our world. Can you join me and let us continue to pray? Please. If you've been praying with me, like I say, God bless you. But don't stop. We are praying. We're going to keep praying. So that by any means, if God just decides that he's going to change his mind because of you and I, that would be such a wonderful news. But even if he doesn't, let him keep protecting us so that when the destruction comes, when they see the blood spiritually marked on our doorposts, you know what they're going to do? They will pass over us immediately. That's my prayer for you and your family and your loved ones. And may God bless, keep you, and protect you all the days of your life. Amen.